how do you think Trump being elected is going to affect brand deals as a creator?
So
here with Clarke, she's the owner of Is Well Connected, and today we're talking sponsorships and brand deals.
It's just things that I've noticed over the years. Most of us can't produce an ROI for a brand unless you are a big name, a huge figure that knows that you have dollar value. Most of us can't produce a great ROI, but what we can produce is non-engagement. Look at brands, and for content creators, it has to be endemic or non-endemic. And what does that mean? It's the audacity people have for partnership, and they bring no value to the table. Everybody wants a brand to give them money because, oh, I need money for this, and I want this cool event. Of course your event is cool. You created it, but it's cool to you.
Now, what's going to make sense for a lot of people is this media kit breakdown that we're about to do. So I've sent you a media kit.
Yes. Let me get my phone.
Take a second, grab your phone, and we're going to do a quick roast. The more subscribers we get, the better the guests get. So please hit subscribe and support this Black-owned independent podcast. All right, see you in the show. So, how do you think Trump being elected is going to affect brand deals as a creator?
I don't think it's going to affect them. It has nothing to do with them.
You think so?
People's political views and votes really have nothing too much to do with a brand's a partnership. However, if a brand takes a stance and they're like, they don't agree with him, then they may not work with somebody who is a pro-Trump supporter. But for the most part, like, does it affect the brand partnership world? No, it's individual case by case basis. That's more of a personal preference.
I don't think so.
Well, take a look at this with everything that happened with Chris Brown and Rihanna back in the day. There was companies and brands who still work with Chris Brown, and there was companies who took a stand against, they don't believe in anybody putting a hand on a woman. A lot of it comes to personal preference, but in business, you should not have personal, political or religious views. Let's be clear. If it is a business, it's a business. But it also depends on the type of business that you are. But I don't think so. I think it'll be fine. I think he was elected 4 years ago or 5 years ago, whatever that was, and partnership still continued. So I don't see it stopping. People have money to make.
I think one of the big things that's going to affect it, specifically for Black creators, is the fact that he's anti-DEI. So a lot of, like, when he was elected, that was in the middle of 2020, and there was a huge spike in DEI initiatives and everything Black. And now it's the exact opposite of that. Everybody is investing in non-DEI funds, which is insane to think about, but it's the truth.
But DEI programs have been squashed since the beginning of the year. So prior to him being elected or not, those programs have been closing.
For sure. And now it's even stronger. It's like there's a mouthpiece for it. Before it was like Vivek, I can't pronounce his last name, continuously doing it. But now there's a mouthpiece for it that's saying we specifically don't want this. So that influences the public thought bubble. And that can influence it a little bit.
Yes
but
and no.
At the same time, brands need to make money. So they need to find people, and they're going to use marketers. But there could be a bit of a shift, I think, in the overall thought process among marketers, no?
Definitely. But if we take it all the way back, if we're going to go black and white, creators of color have always been paid less, regardless of Trump was in office before DEI and George Floyd, all the situation that happened with him encouraged these programs. Creators of color have always been paid less. So it was a thing during the George Floyd era, I think, because there was a stand of that. But since then, in the last year and a half, DEI programs have been being closed, and you're going back to just funding. And creators of color have been complaining from before the DEI, during the DEI, and after the DEI about a lack of funding. So we've just circled the block. So again, it comes down to political views, all the other views, they have an impact of some kind. But if this has always been an issue and there hasn't been an indefinite change, we're just circling the cycle again. And it's going to be another couple of years until another program comes out where it's going to be that for a couple of years. And then we're down. It's like all these women events, all these women brunches and stuff, love them. I think they're great. But they had a time just before the pandemic and during the pandemic. They're done. Like, people are like, okay.
They're done?
In a sense of people are still doing them, but on the brand perspective, okay, it's another brunch. It's another woman empowerment brunch. What is next? How are we moving the dial? And if we're thinking of the longevity of your brand, I'm not saying not to do a woman's brunch or one of the things, but what is unique and different about your woman's brunch that hasn't been done before? What are you bringing in that seeks a different value? Because at the end of the day, it's another brunch over another brunch over another brunch. And if we're looking at the difference, what a lot of people miss, and I was saying this to a friend of mine earlier today, it's the audacity people have for partnership, and they bring no value to the table. Everybody wants a brand to give them money because, oh, I need money for this, and I want this cool event. Of course your event is cool. You created it, but it's cool to you. A lot of us are asking, I tell my clients this all the time, you're asking your give don't make any sense. You're asking for $50 million, but you're giving $3 million worth of value. The value that you're asking for has to over succeed that. So if I'm asking for $50 million, I say the plus tax mentality. I'm going to have to give you $65,000, $75,000 worth of value to make it of interest. And then what we're not doing is we're not asking brands how they want to participate. We're assuming, oh, well, they're going to love this. I do gifting suites. Oh my God, they're going to love Carnival gifting suite. Might not be a value to a brand. They might not have an interest in Carnival. But when I ask them, well, what is interest to you? What are you working on in your marketing? What are you working on that's coming down the pipeline? Oh, we're launching this, we're launching that. Oh, it clicks. I can now integrate them into what I'm doing. So sponsorships are partnerships. And so when you start thinking about integration, not just top level, then things start to make a difference. But when we're just, hey, I have this event, sponsor me $30K. For what? Where's the value in that brand sponsoring you $30K? Unless you break it down and look at that. So I think all these projects and everything that we're doing is cool. But to get the dollars, to get the brands, you got to either have something really unique or you got to seek out a really unique value.
Good point. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Hustle Over Everything. I'm Alex, owner of the show. And today we're talking sponsorships and brand deals. You know, this has been a continuous topic that we hit on. Can you tell that means a lot to me? So listen, I think it's going to be a dope episode. Let's lock in. So today I'm here with Jackie Clarke. She's the owner of Is Well Connected. She has her own business when it comes to sponsorships and brand deals. And, you know, I just saw her the other day at the Legacy Awards.
Ah, yes.
And for people who don't know, especially our American audience, the Legacy Awards is picture BET Awards meets MTV Awards.
Yeah.
You know, you can take her right in that middle ground. And she was one of the people that was organizing the sponsorships and the gifting suite for that event. So, Jackie, how you doing? Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm great. How are you?
I am fantastic. So you said something really important about creating ROI, right? So for events specifically, what do you find creates the smartest or the best ROI for brands? Is there a consistent trend you see, or is it just different from person to person?
So this is my opinion, which are not facts. This is just things that I've noticed over the years. Most of us can't produce an ROI for a brand. Unless you are a big name, a huge figure that knows that you have dollar value, most of us can't produce a great ROI, but what we can produce is a return on engagement, which is what I call an ROE. That's your social media push. That's your news, your marketing, your email newsletters, all of that good stuff. Now that can translate into ROI dollars eventually if it's like really unique, where a brand or somebody posted a tag on social media and it got a lot of views that brought hits to the website where a couple of sales came out of that, then that's value. But I think a lot of us creators, entrepreneurs are in positions where we have to think ROE first, then ROI, unless you're a celebrity. And let's even be clear, even celebrities, their job is not sales. They have a volume of access to talent or people, that they could help get visibility, but that visibility isn't always sales. So I would say return on engagement is what we really need to focus on. And that's the content you're creating throughout your campaign, whether it be for an event, whether it be for a brand deal of some kind. It's the content that you're creating, how many views that you can get on it, and how you can be unique within that content can help create a return on investment. Brands will get follows. They might get tags. They might get all of a sudden their Instagram spikes with new impressions. That's valuable if it can translate into clicks through an affiliate code or a deal that you've gotten where you're giving a discount and it turns into sales, benefit. But for me, the brands I've worked with, our sell is return on engagement and social media production. We create reels. We give our brands dedicated content, so tailored evergreen content, marketing materials that they could use. Because at the end of the day, a brand has to justify that cost. So if they gave me $30,000 worth of, I don't know, nail polish, for instance, I have to be able to help my brand partner justify that to their boss or justify that to their client. Why did you choose to give Jackie $30,000 worth of nail polish? Well, this is what we did, and here's what it looked like. She shot content of the nail polish by itself, integrated into the decor. She had key influencers holding that up. Having an influencer that maybe charges maybe 20, 30 grand or $15,000 for one post, but they're in my space and I got them holding that up for free, that's a dollar value to them because they didn't have to pay for that. They paid for it, but indirectly, right? And so I find that is more of a return on investment for them because they can justify it. They can see it on social. They can see the tags. They can see that value. But ideally, yes, if it could go direct to sale, then amazing. But if not, you have to do it in subsequent ways.
Now, with do something like legacy awards, let me see how they can now do something with legacy awards and big events like you've done, Carnival, Oasis, things of that nature. How profitable are you seeing events nowadays?
Events can be very profitable. You just have to know your budget and your margin. So I say, like, when I do my own personal events, like, I can't speak for the legacy. I don't know their budget and what they're doing, but this is how I frame events. Your first event, it's very rare that you make a huge profit off of your first event because first events to me are level zero. We don't have anything to compare it to. You've never done it before. So you can create a budget. And if you're able to get it sponsored or you have your own money that you could cover it or friends and family could give you space for free, whatever the case may be, if you're able to take the money off of ticket sales, that's a good start. But most of the time, venues are actually cheaper these days. What you're paying for is liquor and food. You have to pay a day rate or a bar minimum.
I noticed that. And so I was looking at one event when I was doing House of Talks Live early this year, and I was inquiring about their quote. Tell me how I got a quote back for breakfast meals, pancakes, little things, eggs, $17,000.
Yep. And probably out of that, the venue was maybe 3 or 5. Like the event that I had for Carnival Oasis this year, the venue itself, when I broke it down, was only like $2,800. It cost me nearly 10
for food
and liquor for 300 people, but we only opt to feed 150 because not everyone's going to eat and it's passed through, and we had other snacks. So a lot of venues these days, the cost for the venue itself is low, but you're paying for food, liquor, and then obviously staffing, security, and all those things. But yeah, with budgeting, events are profitable. They're definitely profitable, but profit, it's perception. What is profitable to you? Is it the money that you're walking away with? Is it the audience that you got all these likes and follows and stuff? Like, everyone's profit value can be measurable, but you have to be realistic about your profit margins. Like, you want a venue that's costing you $20,000 for the day, but then you might have to pay speakers, shipping and all those costs, printing costs. Those things increase. And if you're hiring performers or whatever, they may charge you. So your value starts adding up. And then it's like, okay, you may get sponsorship dollars if you're able to get that in time, depending on how long you've pitched, but all that cost goes right back. So then what is your bare minimum? What is your break-even point? Sometimes it's nothing. So Carnival Oasis, my business partner and I, our first 3 years, we didn't intend to make money. That was not the goal. We had a different goal in mind. We wanted to create something that's never been done, and we wanted to establish ourselves as leaders in an industry that's not really known. So we didn't really care about what that budget looked like. We knew what we had to cover our venue. Sponsorship dollars covered our DJs and main other stuff. We just wanted to cover the cost of the event. But going into year 4 or 5, we now know the value because we've done it now 3 years in a row. We've overseen what it is. The brands see the value that we bring. So yeah, we're on trend to make money. But again, it depends on your value. We never went into it with wanting to make money in the beginning because we didn't know if we were going to do it for the long game. We didn't know how valuable it would be, if it would be valuable.
And in making that value, you got to procure a lot of sponsors. How long does it take you to know?
Again, Sponsorship is you can do a really great event and not have a sponsor. I tell my clients this: sponsors are a benefit; they're not the plan. They enhance the experience, but you should always be coming, in my opinion, people who want to do a really great event are coming at it from an experience side point. When you come at it from I want to make money, those are the clients I don't take. And I could smell those clients right away. And I promise you, I will not take you on because the intention isn't pure for me. When you go into something wanting to make money off of it, there's no real love for it because you're creating an event because you are solving a problem. Business is you created a service because you saw that there was a need in the market. An event is a tactic of an organization. So if the event is not supporting your organization at the end of the day, why are you doing it? Are you doing it for clout, namesake? Are you doing it just to puff your chest? Or all these brands are sponsoring, I just want money. It shows up in the way your event turns out. And I've seen it. I can tell when someone did an event because they wanted clout, namesake, or money, because the experience was not thought out. The customer journey wasn't thought out. Everything in events comes down to customer service. Sponsors don't return because, again, you didn't think of them. So for me, you could have a successful event and great events with brand partnerships. But again, sponsorship is another form of partnership. We're working together for an end goal, and the end goal should be, what does the red carpet look like? Walk me through this experience. When my guests are coming in, what do I want them to feel? Because it's like a wedding. When you go to a wedding, what do people talk about? The food and the venue. Two biggest things. Or food and music.
The music.
Food and music. But also venue's a huge one in there. It was far. It was cold in here. It was damp. Blah, 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 blah. Same thing like an event. When people come in, yeah, they're going to go like, listen, I've gone to great events where I didn't even get a gift bag, and a gift bag wasn't even on my mind because the people I met, the thought and the detail that they took into it, the food that I got, the experiences were so filling enough. A gift bag would have just been like, oh yeah, that was cool. And then I've gone to events where they've hyped it up, and I go and I'm like, oh, okay. It's starting late. It's not on time. The decor is not right. It's just this mics and stuff aren't working. And then you give me a gift bag full of fluff, full of paper. What do I want this for? What does it, gift bags, and I'm going on a tangent here, but gift bags, in my opinion, stuff in your gift bag should be tools that support the conversation or the event. If they don't actually support it, why are they there? And paper in a gift bag needs to be valuable. If the paper doesn't make sense to me, I don't want it.
Yeah, have like brochures in it.
No, send that in an email. Do a digital campaign, send that in an email. But if you're going to give me paper, give me something that's valuable, a certain dollar amount or discount off. That makes sense for me.
Now, what's going to make sense for a lot of people is this media kit breakdown that we're about to do. So I've sent you a media kit.
Yes. Let me get my phone.
Take a second, grab your phone. And we're going to do a quick roast. So you're probably seeing it on the screen right now. I would love to get your feedback on this media kit, because you see media kits, sponsorship decks on a day-to-day basis, right? Break down what makes a good one, what makes a bad one after you look at this one.
Well, I'll start with what makes a good media kit, what makes a bad media kit. Crazy enough, it's subjective in a sense where, from a creative eye, design eye, every graphic designer will give you a different opinion about a website or something because they have their own eye, right? But there are certain things. So first and foremost, I think the cover is pretty cool. But the 6 feet, what's that say? ARTA, ARTA maybe, podcast, the logo's hard to read. So 6 feet apart, see, it's over there. But if I'm looking at that, it's hard to read. The 6 Feet Apart podcast, offers an authentic exploration of Toronto through the voice of everyday people. Well, who's the host? Who is it? Who am I speaking to? You know what I mean? I'm getting their reach is cool, 2 million profile views. Okay, cool. But 6 feet apart, I'm getting some stuff. Why isn't there a video clip of an episode? What is your top episode that's ranked the most?
Media kit. Yeah, how do you have a media?
You could have a link to. You could have a link. Media kits are very subjective. Some are 1 pages. Some media kits are actually 3 pages, minimum 3 pages. You could have a clip in there. You could have a link to your top rated episode that I could hyperlink and click to, so I could watch it and find out what's the most important, right? Have you worked with brands before? If you have, where are those brand logos? What kind of things do you guys actually talk about? It's like, hardcore start real conversations about what? Life, animals, AI,
Fitness.
fitness. Like, you have to tell me a story. So when I look at this, I get a general consumption. So your media kit, your deck or whatever should give me enough interest where I'm like, this piques something. I want to know more. Okay, cool. It reaches 3 million engagement as of June. That's cool. But again, I want to know who the host is. I want to kind of know a little bit more. And then the opportunities, $5,000 a month for logo placement or product placement. I'm going to be honest with you, logo's common ground. What other value are you offering me? I don't really, what campaigns have you worked on in the past? And again, those logos, we've partnered with this or show an example of what that looks like. Like if you're talking to me about logo placement, if I'm looking at this, I don't see any logos in here. And one thing I tell anybody, I have people, I want to be a speaker. You got to create that narrative because you could talk about it, but it's different when I see it. So if you're talking about logo placement, you might not have worked with a brand, but a lot of brands actually will partner with you if you show them what you want to do. So if you like coffee, put your favorite, I love Tim Hortons. Okay. We're on a vibe. But if I love Tim's and Tim's is something that I want to partner with, you would see me holding a Tim's cup in my hand, drinking out of it, talking about it. And then I would send that to Tim's. Hey, this episode got 6 million views and I actually have been drinking Tim's coffee. How about you guys partner with me because I drink Tim's and then I could integrate. Sometimes you got to show a brand what you want to be about because these brands these days are getting hundreds of thousands of emails every day.
Most definitely. Speaking of which, I'm going to shoot my shot. Cozy. Big shout out to Cozy. Listen, Cozy, you can have your logo right here in the back. Have the furniture on the front. Mm-hmm. Cozy, the sponsorship is perfect. Let's talk. Awesome. All right. So now, decks are very important. Mm-hmm. What are some of the common mistakes? We've gone through a lot.
Yeah.
When it comes to decks. Is there some takeaways you could easily just list out for our audience?
Yeah. So decks are also subjective depending on the type of deck you're looking for. But if we're talking about sponsorship decks, because there's type of decks, there's investor decks, sponsorship decks, capabilities decks, projection decks, business decks, marketing, there's different type of decks. But common things that I find that are missing is the cover of the deck is just not clean. A lot of time people put all these words on the deck. Give me a really nice background, whether it be plain or a faded image kind of background, logo front and center. Tell me what kind of deck it is. Sponsorship deck 2025, capabilities deck 2025. Give me the type of deck that is. I don't need a tagline, all these things in the front. Keep the deck very short and sweet so I know what it is. Also, naming your files correctly, super important as well. So give me that. A lot of time people miss their contact information in a deck. You'll be surprised how many people do not end their deck with their contact information. You have no idea if it's been downloaded, who's been sending it through their company intranet. You have no idea. I might not forward the email to you. I might just download it. So if there's no information of how to contact you, if I'm not really that interested, I'm not going to do the research to follow you and find you. Even like I said, naming your deck. I get so many things. You'll be surprised how many people actually search in their inbox. Search the name of this. So if you label your stuff correctly, it will pop up in a search or your downloads. What else is missing in a deck? Audience demographics. I'm going to speak specifically to sponsorships and events because that's what I focus on mainly. A lot of people don't actually talk about the event. They don't give me that's focused on the event. They give me their whole brand. And I sang with Patti LaBelle when I was 5 and they give me the works. Nobody cares. I'm going to be honest with you. You got to answer these things: the who, the what, the when, the where, the why, the how, and the value. Your first 7 pages are the most impactful. Everything else is ancillary, but who you are, who you serve, what you do, and what you're doing for this event, why you're doing this event, why it's a benefit to your audience, and why it's a benefit to your partner. When are we doing it? When and where? So obviously online, in person, whatever the case may be. How? Is it a virtual event? Is it a summit? Is it a forum? Whatever it is. And then what are the values? What value does this serve? Those are the key things that you need to answer. And then your audience demographic. Give me the archetypes of these people. A lot of people, oh, it's a mom, dad, okay, but like, are they, if we're talking beauty industry, are they teachers? Are they makeup artists? Are they students emerging? What kind of classification are they? What are their interests? And then break down the areas of opportunity for activation. You can miss me with the tiers. We can get through pricing later. Some decks don't even have pricing tiers anymore. A lot of it is, this is who we are. This is what we're looking for. How much budget do you have? Let's work on something. That's where a lot of sponsorship is going. But
Pretty
give me
customized things.
yes. There are companies who still want tiers, and I always tell my clients, break it out for somebody who wants it, but leave it out, because I do this thing called BYOE, build your own experience. So it allows me to go to brand, because some brands see 50,000, 60,000, and they're like, oh, this is too much. It's not within my budget. So they automatically say no. But when you create a build your own experience, it says, hey, listen, we know that our budgets and our price tiers may not be within your marketing budget. We'd love to work with you within something that's suitable for your budget and work with you to find out what's currently coming down in your marketing pipeline. Let's have a conversation about that. Because a brand could say, Alex, I have $3K. What can we do? You could build out a custom activation for $3K. Some partnerships that I've received, sorry, that's not proper English. Some partnerships that I've received have been free for like 3 years until they've seen the value. And then boom, Miss Jackie, we have 15,000 for you. We have 20,000 for you. But I've had to work with that. Sometimes it's, I only have 2,500. Can you work with me? Sure. I could work with you on that, especially if it's a brand that I want long-term. But activations, what is sellable within your event? Is the stage sellable? Is the washroom sellable? Wi-Fi rooms, work rooms for your conference? There's levels to sponsorship. It's like building a house. You start with the foundation, but the upgrades are the warm toilet seat, the floors. But you don't know what you're selling until you know what you're doing with your event. And these are the things I coach my clients on. It's not as simple as just slapping a deck together. It is, but you're going to get a lot of no's because you haven't carved out value. But I can go to a brand and be like, hey, like, we're here. I'm seeing all this juice. I've gone to events. I'm like, oh, listen, my audience has told me that there's a lot of us who don't drink. I want to start serving mocktails. I've gone to events and seen juice brands. I'm like, hey, this would be a great drink. It clicks to me. And then I'm in the event looking for the brand manager or finding a card for somebody that I can contact. You have to be an opportunist in sponsorship, an opportunist in the right way. But if you don't know what you're selling, you have no idea what you're asking for.
So how do you kind of carve out what you're selling? Because I think that's a big challenge a lot of people have is I want to do the cool thing, but they don't know how to word their cool thing.
That's what I'm for. That's what I do. It's a lot of strategy. So the biggest thing I start with my clients is I don't take on any client, regardless if I choose to take you on or not. Everybody goes through a 2-hour strategy call with me. Because
2 hour?
100%. 100%. I can't give you, your event is custom. Sure, I could probably put together a generalized thing, but that's not going to help you. That's free on YouTube. You could listen to this podcast and probably pull out value, but what is customized to your event experience is very different. So we do a 2-hour recorded Zoom call with as many members of your team. It doesn't matter. We give you an agenda of what we're going to go through and a bunch of questions that you don't have to answer, but what we're going to discuss. You give me some of your preliminary, whether it be sponsorship decks, pitch decks, other stuff that you don't, my team and I review it. And then we go over the goals of the organization. Because again, an event is a tactic of an organization. So we go over the goals of the organization, goals of the event, goals of sponsorship. So that's that monetary, in-kind service, whatever. And then we ask our clients to walk us through their experience. So we let you tell us from start to finish how the event goes, and we don't say anything. And then we get you to walk us through it again, because the flow also needs to make sense. Because it's like, okay, well, we're doing a welcome event. Everyone's going into registration. Then they're going to we want to offer drinks. So then that's a cocktail hour. So that needs a cocktail sponsor. So we could do customized cocktails. Okay, boom, this is what we're going to do. That's a set of sponsorship. The welcome bar, if it's, LED big bar, that could be branded. Oh, guys, we're going to have a DJ. Okay, but we want Red Bull to partner because, our airline or pilots and stuff love Red Bull. Red Bull has Red Bull music. So we want Red Bull to give us drinks to fuel, and rum and Red Bull's a drink, right? So we want to give cocktails, something for people to drink while they're there.
Red Bull's a hell of a drink.
Very hell of a drink. But then again,
I don't know if you want that for your event.
Some people do. No. But then again, they have Red Bull music. So now I can get Red Bull in for a 3-stage partnership. But I don't know these things until we start having a conversation about what it is that you're doing. I get a lot of people, they're like, oh, Jackie, I did my deck already. We did it on AI. And I think AI is an amazing tool, but the human element's still missing because there's still a human side of the event. What is the experience? What is that? So you can get a framework from AI, but we still have to walk through that. So picking out that value is having that call.
How long do these calls, not in terms of the 2 hour length, but in terms of from initial pitch to close, what's the usual timeline that it takes to make a deal happen?
Depends on what you're asking for.
On average, like for example, if you're saying, all right, I'm going to do an event next September, when should I start having a list and pitching?
Immediately. The sooner you have to give yourself more time. So the sooner you know that you want to do an event, put your stuff together, get your deck together, hire a consultant, sponsorship consultant to walk you through your strategy. Also, if you're not an event planner, hire an event planner, because a lot of people are not event planners. They are, I don't like to dumb the term because producer is a very big word, but they are curators. Let me say curators of an event, but doesn't mean that you're an expert in this field. You still need somebody who understands events. Because a lot of people are like, oh, I want to do this event. And I had a client, he's like, oh, I want to do this event. It's going to cost me, I think it was like $20K. I'm like, for the whole event? Okay, cool. When we started going through the call, that number started skyrocketing. Your venue's how much? Almost $20K. Okay. That's not including food. That's not including drinks. You're bringing in speakers and you're bringing in a rapper. You got to pay him. That's flight, hotel, his team. That number started increasing. You got to now have security, transportation for that person. Number starts increasing. So a lot of times people are like, oh, I think it's going to cost me $20K. And you could do a great event for $20K. My events cost under $20K. However, there's I offset a lot of that in sponsorship. But the sooner you know you want to have an event, you got to start reaching out, because budgets take time. It takes 12 touch points to sometimes even get a response from somebody. That's if you're on a rotation of emailing them every 3 days, following up, because it's borderline stalking, respectively. And then by the time you get them on a call, there might be, okay, well, Alex, can you bring this back to your team? We want to talk about this. So you might have to work on some customizations for them and redesign the deck, edit that. We got to have more conversations. Now, you've asked for $50K. I got to see if that's doable. And so where's that budget coming from? I got to see which teams I can get that from. By the time they agree to that sponsorship and they agree to that, they're like, yeah, we can give Alex $50K. There may be a 30-day, 60 or 90-day window for payment. So from the time it's from the time you give it, if they're on point, they might immediately send it to accounting, but it might sit in the inbox for 2-3 weeks. So you have a 30, 60, or 90-day window. If your event is within that 90 days, you might not get that money until after the event. So if you're relying on that money to cover the event, you need to start sooner so you can get that money in so that you could cover the things that you need to cover. That's why I tell all my clients, you have to have a budget of some spendable money to cover initial payments. Some venues will work with you, some won't. If they have somebody else that's coming in that's like, yo, Jax, I have somebody else who's wanting to cover it and they're willing to pay me in full, I'm going to go with what's certain over what's uncertain. So the sooner you know you want to do an event, the sooner you have to start putting your things together.
Now, can you have multiple things going on, or do you think an event should be like all-encompassing where you're focusing on that specifically? Or do you have enough space to have multiple things going at once? Because I think a lot of entrepreneurs, they want to have their own event, because what I'm realizing is that events are a great way to not only network, but to see what's coming in the future by seeing what everyone else is doing. So how much attention do you think should be put on events when you're months behind in terms of, timeline towards an event?
All the attention needs to be put on it. It's a running thing, especially if you want sponsorship. You can't wait until 3 months out and be like, all right, guys, we're not going to start considering this event and now I'm going to consider sponsorship. 3 months is, in my opinion, 3 months is the bare minimum. But again, if you're coming to me at 3 months, I've already assumed that one of a few things. It's a small event, or you already have the budget. I have clients who come to me like, oh no, we already have our budget. I can pay for everything. I just want to offset some stuff. And now I'm in the go, I can work with you in that. But when I get clients, I want to do this big event in 3 months, and they're like, but I don't have the budget for it. You're asking a lot. You're asking a lot because you're assuming that a brand's interested. We have no idea. Because I tell people sponsorship is not guaranteed. I do events and I have brand partners who invite me to dinner, invite me to all their galas and events. One day they told me yes to this event. In the same week, they told me no to 3 other events. And then the week after, they're telling me yes to something else. It's perception. It's whatever event that they like. But just because they know me doesn't mean they partner and sponsor everything that I do. Budgets, timing. Hey, Jackie, we're actually out this quarter, so we can't do anything. But in Q4, I got you. So it's very different. To answer your first question, you can do multiple events within a year. That's what I call a projection deck. You hit up your brand and you project the line of sight of how many things that I'm doing. So, hey, we're doing our gala in December, but we're going to have a summer social in July, and we're doing a winter formal in January. You let them know, because the long game is you want to be able to sell as many properties to a sponsor in advance. So I want to be like, hey, Smartwater, and they're one of my great brand partners. Hey, I'm doing a winter social, I'm doing a summer social, and then I'm doing my gala. Here's how your brand will get promotion and partnership and activation through all 3 events. So when I'm asking for $100,000 and breaking it up into 3 spheres, it seems less. It's like, oh, okay, cool. We're going to give her this much money there, this much money here. We could break that up into thirds. But when I'm asking for $50,000 for one event in a short time frame, your brands are like, I can't do 50,000. And then I can't see the value sometimes, especially in short time frames. But when you give them a long road, they're willing to work with you because now they have more budget and they have more time to make it make sense. And then what happens sometimes is they come to the first event, they see you out, especially if it's a brand you never work with. Okay, I like this. This is cool. Sometimes if you've done a really good job, they even want to maybe increase or give you more money or product because they see, oh yeah, there's a value here. Sometimes they'll decrease if the first event hasn't given what they needed. So they're also testing you out as you're working with them. But you have to give yourself time. And that is just a standard thing because, again, you're looking for somebody else on the other line to give you that yes. And they don't have to. And also, we'll talk about it later, but I've had brands say they're going to give me this. I'm going forward with it. And then life happens, something happens, and they have to pull that funding. What do you do when they're like, and they haven't given it to you yet, but they cancel that check? What do you do? You know what I mean? You have to have backups. You have to give yourself time to figure out, oh my God, what I'm doing. Also in your contracts, you're going to have stipulations and stuff like that. But with everything that happened with COVID, there's so many different laws and government laws now, strikes, especially when it comes to liquor. Like, in Canada this summer, the liquor board striked, huge issue for event industry. Liquor was very hard to come about because it was just being sold out and companies.
Oh, because the LCBO strike.
Yeah. And companies weren't getting their stock in as fast and they weren't making that money. Companies lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so they're losing. Their first idea is not going to jump to an event and give me 20 grand when they're not making that money. So they're either going to pull out or completely decrease that funding, which happened to me this summer.
Got you. So because of the liquor board strike, they couldn't come to you anymore. So they're like, hey, we got you. We're going to give you XYZ, XYZ. The strike happens. Next thing you know, they're like, oh, there's a strike.
Yep.
Pulling back all that money, all the alcohol that's supposed to be given to you. And you're like, hey, sorry, strike's a strike. Wipe our hands clean.
Yep. And that's part of government clause. A lot of these contracts have any worldly clause or government clauses can result in us pulling completely out of the event. And I had to have a backup for that. Like, what am I supposed to do?
What did you do?
The event happened. No, bless and believe the event happened, but we had to work with like, hey, you guys, it's a week and a half. You guys can't do that. I can't afford that. So I need you guys to come in with something. And they were willing to give, but not nearly what they were estimated to give. Thank God my event was already paid for. And that's why I tell people you got to cover certain costs, but the liquor is a huge thing, right? But, it was a good lesson in timing, auditing my clauses, making sure, finding out what's going on because they can pull out. And what are you supposed to do? Because at the end of the day, a brand is going to cover, anybody's going to cover their own back. I'm not going to go in debt for you to have a successful event. They're going to make sure their brand MO is always covered. And that's, I think, something people fail to realize. These companies that we're all saying, oh, they have all this money and they just have money to spend. They are also in business and employ a lot of people. They also have their own programming that they're working on. Their programming comes first. Everybody else's stuff is ancillary opportunities. It's not necessarily a need for them. It's a want. I want to help you with your event, but it's something I don't need to. My company needs to have this annual fundraiser though this year in order to generate money for our business. So, you have to be mindful of that.
Yeah, you're kind of in a place of, you're on the opposite end of the leverage. Because the Toronto real estate landscape right now, to rent a hall or to rent a proper space costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
So you struggle to be profitable off of ticket sales alone. So sponsors are kind of a necessity in order to be successful.
No, they're a benefit. You want it because you don't have the money to do the event. You want it, but a sponsor doesn't owe that to you.
It doesn't owe it to you.
But this is where I talk about with people with the entitlement of sponsorship. And I say this to myself, and this is me talking straight. I've been on both sides. So for background, I've been a publicist for 15 years. So I've been on the side of where I've been the brand and I've given money. And now I've been on the opposite side where I'm asking. So there's always a dollar value. When I woke up and decided I want to do Carnival Oasis, no brand told me that it's something that they wanted to do. No brand told me that they needed it. I thought it would be a need and benefit to my culture, to my community, to the people that I serve. Now, that's a me problem, not a you problem. So at the end of the day, the partners that I'm bringing into, yes, having them cover that cost helps me out a lot. But at the end of the day, I'm still coming to them for a favor. They're not coming to me. And again, they don't have to. But a lot of people are like, well, I just want to do this and I really think I should do this. And these brands have all this money that they should give to me. Why should they do that?
For sure.
And I think when people understand that they don't have to, and this is a partnership and that there needs to be a value for both of us, it's a human nature thing. I don't have to help you. You don't have to help me, but I see a value in you and I like what you're doing. So I want to help you because I believe in the growth of what you're doing. That's the mindset we should be going into partnerships. But when I get people that come to me on this, well, yeah, you know what? Like I really want to do it and I'm struggling to fund this event. Then why are you doing it? And it goes back to what I was saying before. What is the end goal? If this is something that you were passionate about, because you want that Gucci bag, you're going to find the money to do it. You're going to work extra hard. You're going to do it. Your event should have the same mentality. If this is something you want to do, you need to have the power behind it. The sponsors are a benefit, but they're not the plan because they don't have to. And so if your event is riding solely on sponsors, that's a red flag to me because that lets me know that you're in it for a different game. To a sponsor, whether or not I have you, my event is going to happen.
For sure.
It's going to be a success. You are a benefit to me as much as, and I'm a benefit to you because I'm bringing you a great audience. If you know the value, oh no, I'm bringing you something that's going to be profitable to the city or this community. You're going to want to be a part of this, but a brand equally needs to know that with or without them, this event will be successful. And a lot of brands sometimes say no in the beginning because they've never seen you do a partnership before. They don't know what's really going on. They never heard of you. So they're also watching to see what you put out. Because a lot of people talk a lot of game. Oh, I'll do this and we're going to do that. And I've been on both ends. I've had brands tell me, I failed brands before. So I'm speaking from both sides. I failed. I said, yeah, we're going to do this. Didn't do it. Didn't get it. And then they were trusting that I was going to do that. So I've lost partnerships in my early years because I said a lot. And that's where a lot of people are. We're going to get you all this content. We're going to do all this. And they don't do it. So again, what is the return for that brand? If you're not actually bringing dollar value, but you're like, okay, we'll give you content, we're going to give you videos, and you don't produce that and it's not of quality, they've now lost. So why would they come back? So you have to make sure that your ask and your give make sense. And that if you're going to say we're going to do this, you actually have a team of people dedicated to making sure that happens. But again, like just saying, oh, well, they're the sponsors, the money, that's going to help me. I mean, yes. And I'm not saying you shouldn't think about sponsors and you shouldn't ask them to help you, of course. But if every sponsor said no to you, your event's not going to happen. That's sad.
It's very sad, very sad. No, I definitely agree to that. I think the challenge is, from what I'm saying, is that the economics of doing an event here, like you were saying earlier, it's almost like impossible to be profitable without sponsors now.
Yes and no. It's a yes and no because
Because yeah,
it's
you'd have to charge
profitable
like
without
$500, like a ticket, damn near.
but
To I'm being facetious,
yeah,
but
but
you
some
have.
people do. Some people do.
Oh, for sure.
Mm,
I'm definitely gonna have an event that charges $500.
mm.
That's coming. If you don't know, that's coming. Be very aware. But um, to make it profitable, you'd have to have that ticket scale. Not every ticket has that, but you can have like a VIP that costs that much, or like, hey, this is for the executives that cost that much. So there's like a barrier of entry. So to have the room to be curated, you know. But I think that the challenge for people that are trying to build something in the city when it comes to events, networking opportunities, things of that nature, is the economics of it, right? So I don't know. I don't feel like there's a solution outside of getting sponsors or charging high prices, like well, it's like one or the other almost, or have it for free and
Again,
not have it
you
profitable.
have to think about what is the value to the community and what you're doing. If everything, we all want to be profitable and we all want to make money. That is an end goal.
For sure.
100%. But you have to be realistic. If this is your first event and you haven't done anything before on a big scale, there are few and far events that first event completely sell out, make a ton of money. They make a return because it's just something so unique and dynamic that it's just needed in the city and everybody does that. Those are those few and far, and those are amazing events. But most of us underestimate what it costs to put together an event, and we actually have no idea. So we go into it thinking, I'm just going to do this event because I want to.
That
But
was me. That was me this year.
we've all been there though. I was there. I was there 10 years ago. Yeah, I'm going to do this. When I say these things, I know it sounds harsh and I know it sounds like I'm against people, and I'm not. I have this saying, you can't be talking nonsense for $50,000. If you're going to go and ask somebody for something, the sense has to make sense. And a lot of people are talking nonsense because they haven't actually sat down and thought about what they're doing. Everybody's on this. I want to be an event planner. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be a content creator because they think it's easy. I promise you, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. We'd all be making money.
That's the thing, though.
We'd all be
Everyone
making-
is being a content creator, though. And I think that's a challenge. And I think
Yeah.
what's crazy is that once you get into the spiral online of looking at content creators, you see so many success stories, but you're not seeing the failures because the success is loud and the failure is a whisper. So people are just looking at everybody, comparing and contrasting between what they're doing and thinking,
But it's what you said, comparison. Comparison is a thief of joy, and the grass is always greener on the other side. You have no idea how long it took this person to get to that point. You have no idea how many knows. Social media, I love the socials. I'm not going to say no names. I don't want no companies to come after me. It is all perception. Because if you look on my Instagram, you see me here and there. People think I live like my goddaughter was the other day about, Auntie Jackie, you're rich. I'm like, I'm almost there. I'm almost there. But the perception online, people see me flown out by clients. They see me on red carpet. They just assume I live this lavish life. I live a very simple life. But because I'm in a position where I'm able to be around a lot of people that are successful, and I have really great clients who want me out, I'm in a lot of high profile places. But I can't tell you how many times I've gotten asked to be a part of such a big event, but I had to fly myself there. I'm staying in a hotel that's an hour and a half out. You know how many content creators, no shade to them, Coachella and all these things. Yes, they got invited to go to the gifting suite. They got invited to go to Coachella, but they're just like everybody else, sleeping in the same hotels, the regular. Not all of them were paid to go stay in the hotel. That's very far and few between. Social media is perception. And I get a lot of people that are like, oh, this company sponsored this. They would have to sponsor mine. Yeah, if it's in the same alignment, like, oh, okay, this beauty company sponsored a beauty event, you're having a beauty event, there's alignment there because it's in beauty. But you have no idea how many times it took them to answer. You know how many times I've emailed a brand and they've said no to me? No. Like 7 years later, I finally get a yes. I'm just like, wow. But people think, oh, it's easy. It's not. One of my great brand partners, it's taken years for me to get a dollar amount from them because they wanted to see who I was. They wanted to see if do I bring a value back to their company? It's taken years to get to that point.
let me ask you something.
Possible answer.
I got a brand approach me.
Nice.
Sorry, let me say that again. I had a brand approach me last year, sent me the product to try out before they gave me any money because they believe in their product from what I was perceiving. And I was excited. All right, cool. This brand looks legit, looks solid. I'm sending it to people to take a look at, to analyze. Everything looks promising. I tried the product. Product's great. And I'm like, I love the product. Let's do it. Let's have a brand collaboration. You know what they offered me? $50.
Yep.
Now, as a small creator trying to build a media company, it feels insulting. But now, seeing that you have the perception of being on both sides, how should I be perceiving that? Should I be seeing that as an opportunity?
And again, what's hard is there's no right or wrong answer in any of these things. So there's that side that creators of color are being undermined, right? But there's this, but if we take out race and all those things in some of these things, it comes down to the scope of work. What are they asking you to do?
I can answer that.
Yes.
So what they're asking to do. So they sent me a creative brief.
Of course they did.
Yeah, for $50. Remember that. Keep that in mind, ladies and gentlemen. $50. And they sent me a creative brief asking me to have an organically implemented or organically integrated ad where we try the product on camera so they could cut it up for socials as well as have it on our audience.
So was that a reel? Was that a series of reels? What was that? What was the actual ask?
It would be one ad concept, basically, where both me and my co-host or whoever I'm on the show with tries the product.
For how long? What was the timeline? How long was the video?
It was only one ad.
One ad, but for how long? 60 seconds? 2 minutes?
About 60 seconds, yeah.
So this is where, when we're starting in this space, we have to look at what is the end game. So scope of work is very important. If they were asking you for like, I need 3 reels, different views, I want an in-feed post, absolutely not, because that doesn't make any sense, right? However, if you've never worked with brands before, or you haven't, or you're just starting.
I have. I've had thousands of sponsorships so far.
Of course, you know? and that's great. But again, it's dependent, right? Some of the relationships are, if this is a brand that you really want to work with, it is that give and take. I really want to work with Nike, so I'm going to do a little bit of this. It's not really my normal rate, but I want to do it because I want to leverage the relationship. Now, the problem with a lot of people is it's not hard to get in contact with a brand now through DMs and stuff. What's hard is maintaining a relationship. A lot of people are not maintaining. You can get a contact. That's easy. You could DM anybody. Brands will reach out. Maintaining, especially for the long game, is where people struggle and they fall off. Now, if you don't perceive this brand to be of value to you, $50 is a slap in the face and you could say no. But if this is a brand that you could see that there could be long-term game and longevity, because it goes into 2 ways. This is how I look at brands and for content creators. It has to be endemic or non-endemic. And what does that mean? An endemic partnership endemic brand, is a tool or brand that helps support the performance of a player. And I'm talking from gaming right now. I'm not a gamer, but I took gaming sponsorship. Shout out to Seneca for that course. And what I learned in that is when you look at gamers, right? A keyboard, the chair, microphones, controllers, those are things that help support the performance of a player. Something like a hat, glasses, drinks are non-endemic. They don't actually help you with your performance, but they're just kind of cool ancillary stuff. All brand partnerships fall into one or the other. Is that brand a brand that's going to help with the long game of your business, or is it a short game? If it's a brand that you're like, listen, if I got them, like Cozy, listen, they're going to decorate my space. They're going to help me create the ambiance, set the tone and feel, but they were not to say they were, I don't know, the people at Cozy's don't come from me, but say they were to give you a smaller package. If you realize that, you know what, I want a long-term game with them, you may be willing to take that and do a little bit more because you know that there could be a residual. If it's not, and it's nothing that, well, it's just cool to have, but I'm not going to use it ever again after this, it's really just for them, then I would say no. But that's when negotiation comes into play. Okay, well, listen, this is what you've given me and that's cool. But here's what I actually typically charge for stuff like this. And here's actually the idea of what I have for the brand. Sometimes brands are also breadcrumbing you to see what you're actually going to do, if you actually think outside the box. Because I'd be like, yeah, I'll just do it. But if you're a real creative, you're going to come back and be like, okay, listen, I see your play, but here's what I actually have in mind for that. We want to do a commercial. We want to do this, that. We actually want to do some framing. And for something like that, I'm charging this. You have to play chess. You have to learn to play chess in this game. Everything is about negotiation. You could take the first offer, sure, but they're doing that because now they know they could always get you at that price.
Exactly.
However, again, it's all negotiation. Listen, I'm willing to do this, but I'm only going to give you this much. And if you want more from me, this is what it looks like. And that's how you start leveraging your position. I implore anybody to watch Masterclass. There was this guy who did a podcast on, or an episode on chess strategies for business. Start learning how to play chess. It's going to completely change your mind on how you start moving in business. Everything is strategic. If you're not thinking 2 steps ahead, it doesn't matter if they offered you $1 million. Somebody who's in the mindset of money is always going to take that $1 million. It's just like artists who always take royalties. And people are like, oh my God, you got paid out for, you could get $10 million today, but over 20 years, I could have 100 million. Make it make sense. Start knowing how to play chess. I'll leave it at that.
That being said, that wraps up the podcast. Hustle what you can control. So control your grind and control your life. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe on our YouTube channel and follow us on Spotify as well. I'm Alex.
I'm Jackie.
That's the show, y'all. Peace.
Deuces.
Boom.